Hey everybody, it's Femtrooper, and today we're going to do a review on Pokemon X and Pokemon Y. Except I only played X, so we're just going to focus on that one, even though they're pretty much the same game. So we're going to just focus on this one. This is the actual one I played. Y is the one my boyfriend played. So lots of stuff to talk about here. I wrote a list down. But I have to say, it was a really good game. It was... The Pokemon series is weird because I have this like love-hate relationship with them, and I'll describe that. So, I mean, I played Pokemon from the very beginning. I was at the right age group that was like targeted to play these games. Everything, the cards, the action figures, you know, the backpacks, like everything. So I like this series obviously, and I've played every one. I really like them, but they're very linear and nothing, like there's no story whatsoever. And being a person who likes RPGs, I love story in a game. And there's like basically none in these. So it's one of those games that I like can't wait to play. Like, as I said, I booked off work for the opening of this because I wanted to play it all day. But these games can get a bit tedious and boring after a while. And every one of them is like this. I'm not going to say that, oh, Pokemon, let's say Pearl, you know, it's just a bit better. It's like, no, they're pretty much all the same. So the only thing that makes them different is the graphics. Obviously, this is the best looking one yet. And, you know, they've recently, with the 5th generation of Black and White, they've tried to actually add a story into these games instead of it just being you being a 10-year-old kid on an adventure to collect all the Pokemon in the world and get all 8 gym badges and beat the Elite Four and become a Pokemon Master. So they tried adding a little bit of a story in Black and White, and in this one as well a little bit. But to be honest with you, I didn't love the story in Black and White. And what's weird is as much as I want there to be a story in these games, you kind of don't. Because whenever they do, it's just keep it a Pokemon game. Let's just accept what this series is. So for starters, let's talk about the graphics, because this game looks amazing. Like, it's a really, really good looking 3DS game. It's the best looking Pokemon game. For a lot of games that have come out recently, it does look quite good. This does not disappoint visually. The animations of the Pokemon are great. I mean, they move now. Not as much as I'd hoped, but it's a lot. But each time they release these games, it gets better. So next time, the next one they do, I've heard that there's a rumor going on that the next one is going to be called Pokemon Plus and Minus. I don't know if that's true, whatever. And who knows if they make sequels to these or they do a Pokemon Z or Pokemon Z, whatever. So I don't know, but... Pokemon X and Y by far look amazing. They're the best looking games in the series. And as always, there are really dumb looking new Pokemon. And then there's the odd one that's just fantastic. I don't expect, and maybe this is me being like an old, grumpy Pokemon player, because I have played since the beginning, as opposed to, say, a 10-year-old buying this now. I don't think the Pokemon they make anymore compare to the old ones. And again, that's totally like saying nothing's like the 90s, or lots of people, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be one of those people, even though I am one of those people. But the new Pokemon will never be what they were, because everything to me is just a rehashed version of something else. So, for example, there's always, in the very start of these games, so the first sort of areas, you know, I'd say the first 2 towns, though the start of the game, there's always a bird-type Pokemon. It always has, you know, 2 extra evolutions, so there's 3 in total. You know, originally there was Pidgey, right? And then Pidgeotto and Pidgeot, and I feel like there's always going to be a bird Pokemon now. Always. And it's always the same thing. So I don't love it that way, because I wish they would get a little bit more creative. I feel like everything is like, you know, not in this series in particular, but the new ones, there's always a Pokemon that, you know, I can name every single real animal and there's a Pokemon that looks like it. Like, there's a Pokemon that kind of looks like a hippopotamus. There's a Pokemon that kind of looks like a rhinoceros. There's a Pokemon that looks like a, you know, like a bird. Or there's a Pokemon that looks like an alligator. There's, you know, it's kind of getting like, oh, what animal have we not made a Pokemon, you know, into? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the creativity, like, just as an example, and I know a lot of people use it, but there were Pokemon in Generation 1 and 2 that they were not based off an animal. They were just really different, like Mr. Mime or Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee. They were not based off animals. They were just weird-looking creations, and I thought that was pretty neat. Or, I don't know, they were just, like, of course we had Butterfree. Obviously it's based off a butterfly. But they seemed a bit more creative, and now I feel like it's just the same crap. So that's one complaint. I feel like the creativity could just get bumped up a bit. But again, there are some interesting looking Pokemon. I really did like the legendary in this one as opposed to the one in Y. I liked it a little bit better. It's kind of feminine, but I like it. And I mean, I guess it's obviously based off of a deer, but it looked neat. I liked it. However, the legendaries I never care about anyway. You get them at the end of the game, and then that's it. So who cares? I wish you got them earlier in the game, but whatever. There were a couple neat Pokemon that I was definitely like, that's different for sure. But there's always a bunch of dumb ones, like Pokemon that look like an ice cream cone. Like, I'm kind of done with that, but regardless, I know that going in. And I really have to say, I was impressed with the starters. I always start with grass type, and this time I didn't. I started with Fennekin, which was the fire type one. It was really cute, and I thought, you know, I liked its final evolution, Delphox. I thought it looked really cool. And I just went for it. I've never played any Pokemon game with a fire type. So that was definitely a different experience because I've always played with grass type. I'm used to all the grass type moves and what a grass type starter can do. So that was different for me, not playing with grass type. What else? Like, as far as aesthetics go, like I'm saying, talking about graphics here, well, there might be some silly looking Pokemon. The cities and towns and landscapes and areas, like routes in between towns, everything in this game looked stellar. Like, it looked so good. There was, you know, the details that went to the villages, the way the camera angles were, everything was good. Like, it just looked fantastic. So no complaints at all about the visuals. Like, this game looks great. And the cities, like, oh man, like Lumio City was great. I have to admit, it was a little bit hard to navigate, and after a while it was like, okay, kind of a novelty. It looks great, but I kind of just want a normal looking town right now. It's frustrating having to, but with the complaints there, and as a side note, I complain a lot about games I really like because I find more to nitpick about. If there's a game I don't like, I generally say I hate it, and then we can go on from there. But when there's games I really like, I find even more details to pick on because I like the game. So we'll just, as a side note. But yeah, there was just lots of variation with the towns, variation with landscapes. You know, there's towns that are like really hot and summery, and then there's towns that are snowy, more of a winter type area, which I thought was neat. I mean, the whole region this time was based off of France, and I mean, I'm not sure if the whole thing was France and some parts of Europe, but regardless, it was very European. It had a really cute French style. The clothing, the way the people looked, sometimes there would be like the odd French word in their dialogue. So I thought that was a cute addition because the last time they did it in black and white, it was supposed to be the United States was the inspiration, and I loved black and white. I thought they were very well done, and the other ones previous were all set in Japan, all different regions of Japan. I would really like to see them do something like maybe based off the Middle East or even somewhere in Africa. I think that would be, like, not Northern Africa, that could count as the Middle East, but I don't know, say something, you know, based off of like Kenya. That could be like the region. I think that would be fantastic. What a neat, because I don't know, I really want them to do something a bit different, but regardless, the France region was great. And overall, this game looks good. So enough said about that. Let's talk about the gameplay. So lots of things to talk about in that regard. I've got random notes here, so I'm just going to spew them out here and just see what happens. So you could have a bike in this game, but you could also have roller skates. And I used the roller skates the whole time. You couldn't really take them off, which was a bit of a complaint on my part, because sometimes like you'd have to, you know, you'd use different controls to actually make your person walk, or use another different control to make them use the roller skates. And sometimes you just couldn't move quite right. But again, it uses, this game is the first one to use an 8-directional grid, which means you're not just basically going, you know, up, left, you know, you're actually, you can use that, you know, you actually walk everywhere. Sorry, tongue-tied here. And that definitely made the game feel a lot more smooth. Like it just felt great. But also, one thing I really loved about this was the PSS, which is the player search system. And you could do a random trade. So you basically set something up and it would be like, incoming, you have someone from Germany sending you a Pokemon. It was very addicting and I spent several hours doing that just to see what I would get. So that was definitely a really good addition to the series. They also added Sky Battles, which was kind of a neat addition. Again, something I didn't really care that much about, like it didn't have to be there, but it was nice that they added it. So basically meant if you had any Pokemon that was able to fly, like sometimes, you know, like a bird or insect type, you could, or should I say bug type, you could actually just battle using those Pokemon, so you couldn't use anything else, and then it would be all done in the sky. Again, kind of a novelty, but something nice that they added. They did not have to, and it was kind of neat, because there were only certain trainers that you would run into, and then they would only do sky battles. And they would ask you, would you like to have a sky battle? And you say, sure. So that was kind of a nice addition. The player customization. Thank God they finally answered, I think, you know, Pokemon fans on this, because, you know, it was one thing when they finally allowed you to choose a female character, because of course you were just a 10-year-old boy in the originals. But now you could actually not only choose what you look like as far as like hair or clothes, but also your race, which I thought was a really good addition, your hair color. And then in Lumio City, there was actual like a hair salon, and you could make your hair. So I had mine like short brown hair and bangs, and it was, I don't know, it just made the game more fun, because I felt like, well, that's my character, as opposed to just the generic one that it comes with. Oh, that's the female Pokemon, you know, character you get to be. So I thought that was good. Really good fun gyms. I find that as of the last couple generations, they've really upped their game with the way the gyms look. I mean, I have to admit the puzzles in these gyms are not that hard, but they looked good. It was like, whoa, what's going to go on in this gym? And, you know, the new fairy type, that was something that was neat. A lot of people didn't care for it, but I thought the fairy type was neat. They did change some older Pokemon to be fairy type now. For example, like Jigglypuff is now fairy type, and Gardevoir is now fairy type, and it was like, okay, so Gardevoir is not psychic type anymore, but whatever. And there were new ones, a new Eevee evolution as a fairy type, obviously, which I did not have or care for, but still, people were really excited about that. Just the way the characters moved and the way the environments moved, I thought was great. Walking through the grass, the way the snow came down, everything was done like so well. Like it just played great. So like honestly, like no complaints at all. Like this game was good. One thing though, and I shouldn't say this because they're all easy. No Pokemon game is hard. Let's put it that way. No Pokemon game makes you throw the DS, the Game Boy, whatever, you know, era you're playing at the wall because you're in agony. Like, these games are not hard, let's face it. But this is definitely the easiest one yet. And what made it really easy, and what something I liked, was the XP share. Used to be you added the XP share to one Pokemon, and then whoever was actually out battling would give all, you know, they would share their experience points with the one you selected in your party. Now it just went to everybody. So, you know, the Pokemon in my party were leveling up like crazy, and it felt like the game to be honest, it felt like the game ran more smoothly. And I kind of, I don't know, I kind of don't have a fault with that. While these games are easy, I would way rather spend less time and have a good time with these games than be really pissed off on my way to the next town, because it's like, it's not hard, it's just really frustrating grinding, which I hate. You guys know I don't like grinding, even though I like RPGs, but I hate spending 3 hours leveling, you know, going up 5 levels. I feel like I did nothing. So that's why I've never been a huge fan of grinding. I like a game that just flows. Like, I really didn't grind a lot in Chrono Trigger. It just went and had a nice flow. And that's why I like the XP share. I didn't have to sit and go, okay, time to make this Pokemon in my party 3 levels up so I can finally do this gym. Like, honestly, like, dumb. So, in fact, I kind of found the XP share a bit, like, overwhelming. It was like, okay, my Pokemon are going up way too high, and now I won't be able to use them. I need the next badge. But it was definitely a nice addition, and I used it. Whatever. Because I want this game to not last as long as it maybe could when it shouldn't. But yeah, definitely an easy game. I've really noticed the last couple generations that the easiness has just gone way up. And when I mean that, well, like when I say that, all these games are easy, but something like, there's always an area in these games where you have to surf somewhere. So you have to surf to an island, or there'll be like an underground cave or underwater cave that you have to surf to, or to get to another area of the map. And this game did not really have that. There was a quick part where you surfed for like 20 seconds and it was done, and that was it for the entire game. Like, maybe there was a couple parts in some caves, but there's usually an ocean part, and there was no ocean part in this game. You know, the original one, you had to surf to all sorts of different places. Or, you know, thered be an island, right? No island. I remember, you know, you'd spend hours surfing, and there'd be trainers in the water you'd have to battle. Not so much in this game. No frustrating caves where you had to have like 5 HMs. And again, I hate HMs. They're just a big piss off. But it does add, you know, more difficulty to these games, and they just kind of took that out, which was nice, because these games can sometimes have frustrating caves where it's like, wow, nobody in my party has strength, and now I'm just completely screwed. So it was nice to not have that part of the game, but at the same time, you know, no frustrating caves and surfing areas. So it really, really made it easier. They added Mega Evolution, and I didn't care for it in the sense of like, you know, wow, like I sometimes did it and it wasn't that great, and I thought, But again, a neat addition. People really liked that they brought back a lot of the old Pokemon. Generation 5, so Black and White, you could only get Gen 5 Pokemon. This, they said, no, you can have, there's Pokemon from every generation, and that was fantastic. That was a huge benefit to this game. You could get, you know, you could have Pikachu in your party, you could have a brand new one in your party, or you could have a Pokemon from Generation 4, like something from, you know, Diamond and Pearl. And I thought that was really great. And I noticed tons, actually, from Gen 3, from the Hoenn region. And I was really shocked because those games don't get enough love. And I thought, kind of nice to see a lot of Gen 3 Pokemon in there. But yeah, it had really great pacing. And I think that's because of the XP share, sadly enough. But yeah, oh, right. And there was you were given one of the original starters. And quite honestly, there were a lot of Pokemon just kind of given to you. And it did seem overwhelming. Like, it was like, whoa, okay, because I chose Bulbasaur. That was my first Pokemon ever. So, and I like Venusaur. But it got a bit too much where it was like, geez, you know, another Pokemon I want in my party. It just got a bit too much, and it was sort of just given to you. I thought it might have been more fun if you had to work to get one of the originals, or it was like something, I don't know. I don't know how, but I just know it would have been more fun instead of the professor just saying, oh, you got a starter Pokemon? Here's another starter Pokemon. That was obviously something they did for like original and older fans, but still, it was, again, lots of hand-holding in this game. That's okay. I really enjoyed it. But as an older player, I nitpick. Other than that, I mean, the music is something that I always like, you know, get really into in games because I'm a huge score person. And the Pokemon X and Y score was just okay. It was not anything I remember. In fact, I beat this game in November. I know, a little late. But I can't think of any of the themes in this game. So, kind of bad, but nothing memorable to me. Now, someone who's 10 years old might, you know, 20 years later say, oh my god, the Pokemon music from X and Y, you know, forever in my heart. It's like, but not me. It was not, I don't remember any of it. So, bad, I know, but the original score to Pokemon Red and Blue is so good. It's fantastic, and I think it's one of the best. Again, maybe that's just a nostalgia thing, but I really, really do think they were good, and I felt that every generation later it got worse. So that could just be being an old Pokemon fan, but whatever. Let's talk about the story briefly, though, as the sort of, you know, final note, because we've discussed gameplay, we've discussed the way it looks, the presentation, and the music, you know, briefly. It was okay. But the story, it is Pokemon. There is no story in these games. You know, they tried to add a bit of a story in here with Team Flare, and I really didn't get into it at all. I didn't think Team Flare was the best villain they could have done. They were all about the world being beautiful, and it was just kind of eh. You know, Team Rocket is a lot better. Again, I know that's the original. But I felt like some of the other ones, like Team Galactic, was maybe a little bit better. But regardless, I wasn't a huge fan of Team Flare, and I'm also not really a big fan of a whole "you got a million friends following you," and they started that with Black and White. It was very frustrating. I'm a fan of Pokemon where you go on your adventure and your neighbor down the street goes on an adventure and he's an asshole and you meet up with him every sort of second town, he battles you and he's just a complete dick, like Gary in the original. And there seems like now it's all about friendliness, you know, like, oh, let's have a friendly battle, as opposed to the originals where like your rival was just a complete asshole kid from down the street, and now they're not like that at all. You just have a bunch of dopey kids following you. So not a huge on that. I mean, I'm not saying they were bad, but you know, just bring back the rival. It was more gritty and it was more just Pokemon and fighting. But whatever. Anyway, the game, this was good. This is, although I do the nitpicking, I would say Pokemon Blue and Red, the first generation, are my favorite. Blue in particular. But this is actually a second. This maybe comes in number 2, because there's so many great additions they added, the way it looked. This game is, I mean, excellent. I remember the first thing, you know, you're playing it and you go, okay, I know, it gets referenced a lot, but if they redid a game, even if it wasn't Earthbound, but they did another modern day RPG, but with these graphics, it would look fantastic. So here's hoping that some kind of modern day, like Yokai Watch, come on, please release it over here. But regardless, you have to pick this up. You have to get, you know, you got to get one of these guys, because this is good Pokemon stuff right here. But just, you know, they're easier, but that's okay, because I enjoy the Pokemon adventure, whether it's easy or not. It's just fun. The next Pokemon game I will be just as excited about. In fact, maybe more, because I know they'll look even better. There were just so many fantastic things about these. It was great. So, you know, Pokemon fan and you're hesitant, pick these up. It's great. Do not have the easiness factor stray you away, because they were just so good. Very fun, great graphics, and just overall, it's a Pokemon game. You know what you're getting into, and you know it's going to be fun, and there's all the old favorites in this, including Mewtwo. So lots of Pokemon goodness to be had. Definitely check it out. It's great. And yeah, as a side note, I will also say, as a Pokemon fan, I never collect all the Pokemon. I find my team of 6, I stay with them, and we go. So it's not like I like them for that aspect. So you do not have to say, oh, I just don't want to catch them all, or I don't want to have to catch 30 of them. You don't. Just pick 6 good ones and stick with them for the entire game. That's what I do, and I still have a great time. So pick up Pokemon X and Y. They're great. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that, but fantastic games. And I will see you... Oh, no, before I leave, and I didn't mention it at the start of my video. Oh my god, and people are probably not watching anymore. But please check out my Facebook page. I made a Facebook page for Femtrooper. It's just, you know, another outlet so we can all talk about games, and I thought it would be fun. So please click like on Femtrooper. I believe it's www.facebook.com/thefemtrooper. So please check that out, click like, and join in on some gaming fun. And I will see you guys later.